Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Free Kick, but not your regular episode. Today you're going to join me for a little bonus for the off-season. Very importantly, right up front, I got a chance a couple of weeks ago to sit down with Caleb, coach of Noffy. We have a problem, who was the number one overall coach in 2025, for a fascinating chat about how he managed to win AFLW Fantasy for 2025. Truly enlightening chat. He took a fascinating route all the way through to finishing first overall. That's what you get up front. And then on the back end, when we recorded our final episode of the season, our 2025 season review, we had to put something on the cutting room floor, which was a little bit of AFLW Fantasy Trivia, trying to pick all of the highest scoring players by their highest score of the season for every line of the team. That was led by Jono. It was a little bit of trivia that we all got to enjoy, and it was just that much fun. Felt wrong to not have it actually end up on the podcast feed overall. So as a result, after you hear from the interview, you're going to jump straight into a little bit of AFLW Fantasy Trivia. Hopefully, this can provide you some AFLW fantasy content as we enter the off-season. Don't worry though, we will have some more stuff coming for you as we lead into free agency and the draft, and we look ahead to what it might be for fantasy in 2026. So I hope you enjoy most of all the interview with Caleb. It's a fascinating chat. You'll hear more from us very soon. Cheers. Yes, that is right, everybody. We have an incredibly special guest here with us on Free Kick today. Normally through the season or through the preseason, we have players, but this time we have a fantasy coach with us, and it is Caleb, coach of the number one overall team. Caleb, how are you? How are you feeling? It's been a couple of days now since you won. Has that kind of basking in glory feeling started to wear off yet?
Well, actually, it's kind of gone in reverse for me. Thanks so much again for having me on, Liam. Not sure if I can quite have the athleticism of the players you've had on, but at least I can pick the good ones. So we've got that for us.
That is what the fantasy game is built on. Absolutely ride that one all the way home.
Yes, no, it's been probably actually reverse. I remember when I did end up winning it, I couldn't really believe it. So I think I was just in the other room because we've just moved house, and I just started unpacking boxes. So it's kind of hit me. I think yesterday I was walking into work, and then it just hit me down with a Hilux on the way. So no, crazy.
That is pretty awesome. And I can't imagine I would be so cool as if I'd won first. It might have been a slightly more jump up and down in the living room type of affair, but absolutely incredible effort. For those, you are a relative unknown when it comes to the fantasy space. So what's your kind of background to footy, to fantasy? Who'd you grow up supporting? Give us, a background on who you are kind of before you came into the start of this season, at least.
Yeah, 100%. So I've been a lover of footy all my life. Grown up with it. Dad, grandparents, all through the family. They're all absolute huge fans. I'm an Essendon supporter, like yourself. I know that.
Welcome.
So.
I was aware of that because I am sadly not even close to first overall in the Essendon Supporters League. I think I might be like fourth.
Yeah, that's pretty stiff because you finished up right near 10th, didn't you? Something like that.
I finished 12th, and I can confirm this one live on air. I finished in the Essendon League. I finished, fourth. So a third of the top 12 are Essendon supporters. It really shows that, if team's doing poorly, you turn to fantasy with some renewed vigor.
Yes, so hopefully we can, use some of that luck, you could say, or skill, however you want to word it, or a bit of both, and hopefully we'll get a flag next year. I think I went and had a look as well about Essendon. I think we were the team that got the closest to the Roos all year, so basically right up there. Who knows?
That
Next year.
closest to the Roos, longest period of time in front, over half of the time that Melbourne were behind at any point this season was against the Bombers. So, we were the
That's it.
closest to toppling the Masters.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, easy grand final next year. I've been playing fantasy now for a very long time. I probably started taking it seriously around 2018, but I've been playing for 2015. I know my dad's been playing it for since I was very little, so a very long time. But love that, and also been on and off footy umpiring for about 10, 12 years as well. So know a few of the rules, hopefully. So help me pick up a few points.
You would hope you'd know a few of the rules if you've done it for 10 years. And when you say you've done
Yes.
fantasy for a long time, you're talking about having done men's fantasy. Kind of that's the next kind of question. How long have you been
Mm.
playing the W fantasy for?
So I think I just missed out when it wasn't the official game. So it was a couple of years ago when it was just Selby's version. Just missed out on the start of that. So I kept an eye on it following that. But I think the first open year where it started, I pretty much started the official W game, which I think this is the third year or second year.
This is
Yeah.
the third year of the official
Mm.
AFLW fantasy platform, and the predecessor, which was run by Selby and Moreira's Magic,
Mm.
which is where I first honed my teeth, or in all of I think 400 people in the first season.
Yeah.
When I finished third, so really getting the success when the competition pool is as big as possible. So you got to come
Yeah.
across.
Wow.
Were you
Impressive.
were you anything like, I'm sure a lot of Essendon supporters, probably a renewed interest in the AFLW with the arrival of the Bombers?
Yes, no, definitely. As soon as they joined in, and on memory, they haven't been too bad. I know they haven't quite gotten to. I think they've made a couple of finals. They haven't won one yet,
No, no,
on
they've definitely
memory,
not won
but
one yet.
we've done all right. Huge fan of Matty Prasparkas. Just love the ways he plays. So it's good when your favorite player is at the time, or one of your favorite players plays for your team. So makes it enjoyable to watch, even if you are getting spanked around sometimes.
There was a lot of that this year. Now, in terms of
Yes.
your team, though, when did you start to get a feeling that you might get close to kind of first spot?
Yeah, so as I said, it was a tough start of the year. I think after round one, I was outside the 6,000 or something like that.
I have it here
So,
with me. You were 6,137.
yes, not a great start. I'd say when I was seventh, I started to get an idea. I think there was one week where I was seventh. I dropped back out to about 22nd, and then I dropped around the eighth. So that was when I started to think maybe this is doable. I'd say I really started to think that it was on when I got that number one week that jumped me up from eighth to fourth and really closed that. I think it was a 250-point gap or something to the leaders at that time. Really had a big chunk out of that.
Yes, so that was. I've been and gone on my day off for the Australia for the Melbourne Cup Day public holiday. Went and kind of looked at all your ranks and your trades throughout the year, and that was round 8, overall rank of fourth, but round rank of first, which is a feat which is not for everybody. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
the trades that you made that week in a minute, because I think there's some really fascinating ones. But then you kind
Mm.
of already mentioned what it was like during the final round. The trades that you made and kind of your planning throughout the week, what did that look
Mm.
like? Were you kind of poring over the numbers, or the other teams that
Mm.
around you in that kind of top 4, top 5, trying to figure out where your gaps were? Or was it very straight bat, just pick a player I like and move on?
Yeah, I had a lot of different plans throughout the week because there were so many unknowns, especially with Zali Goldsworthy, because I was pretty confident if she played, I was pretty confident in that role and she'd be able to get hopefully at least a 60 or a 70, which I feel like if I was trading sideways, I couldn't really trust anyone to get more than that. I knew that all the players around me had Charlie Mullins, so I knew no matter what, she was coming into my team. And funnily enough, everything worked out. I had $0 remaining to be able to do 2 small downgrades and be able to bring, I can't remember who it was, up to her in the last round.
Well, look, let me fill in the gaps for you. That was
You know my team better than me, it
Tani.
sounds like.
It
So,
was Tani Evans who went out, and you brought
yeah,
in Charlie Mullins.
yeah,
So they are the definite favourites of the pod there. Tony Evans from previous seasons, and then Charlie
yeah.
Mullins has rocketed her way into contention for pod's favourite player. It's just, you've had, as you said, an interesting start to the AFLW fantasy season outside the 6,000. Having kind of had a look at your team, were there any picks that you definitely regret making for round one? And are there also some that you really feel like set you up well?
Definitely some picks that I missed. I'd say did resolve it or kind of clean it up, I think, pretty smoothly, and I did sort it out. So by round two, I was at a point where I was happy with my team. As far as what I missed, I wouldn't say it's a miss, but Gabby Newton, I had her at the start. I think she had in 80. I know she had a bit of the slow start to the season. If only she could have kind of switched it around and done it in reverse, I would have been, who knows.
113 average in the last three. If only she could have done that for the first three games. You and Will would have been far better off as a result.
Yes, 100%. So, look, I'd say that one. I didn't start Montana Ham as well, round one. That was probably a bit of a miss. I just wasn't sure about that role. I don't think she was named in the middle, named at half forward. And I just wasn't confident on the preseason, so I wanted a week to kind of have a look and see how she looked. As far as that, my ruck was pretty much bang on. I was pretty happy with my mids. My back line, I don't think I could have nailed any better. Stannett was, I think everyone got hit by Stannett. Looking back, the role wasn't there. We saw it in pre-season. He was still pretty highly priced, and yeah, that was a bit of a miss, but luckily everyone was on the same boat.
Certainly a mistake, but it's good to have a popular mistake. Just kind of having a look at your team from round one, there's a few names on there that weren't there. Montana Ham being one. The other two, very popular, Bree Conan, and then Ebony Marinoff. That is, talk us through that. Yeah. Talk us through the thinking there, because, it was certainly an option. She was about 70% owned by the time round one started. Why were you thinking there? Because it's clearly paid off.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's funny in hindsight, but then if it went horribly, well, I wouldn't be. Would I? So, no, I've followed Selby for his 2 years, and then DT Lemon as well, as far as the philosophy. And I know with how the magic number works in round one, whatever they're priced at, they're already essentially 5-10 points priced above that once the end of round one comes. So I was essentially looking at her priced at nearly, come a couple of weeks in, 160 odd. And I really liked the look of Riddell in that opening game, or in the preseason game. I thought she was on for an absolute heater, which, don't even get me started on how I was feeling after round one after that.
It would have been stressful. Good thing though, Marinoff didn't really burn anyone that didn't start her for the first 3 weeks. Because I speaking on that strategy around the magic number, I think the thing that really probably did help you as well was that change in rules and how badly St Kilda managed to beat up on Adelaide in round one. Probably gives you a good insight into how ill-equipped that Adelaide team, and unfortunately Noffy, were to really, make headway against opposition in that first month of the season. And it showed in Noffy's scoring as well. She really didn't put up those 120s, 130s. So you kind of nailed it from that perspective. And that's probably a case for anyone that wants to go against a highly owned, highly priced player. For so long as there's some uncertainty going into the season, your odds that it'll pay off are probably a little bit better than you think. So congratulations to you. Ash Riddell started in your side. Laura Gardner started in your side. You had some other, excellent selections. Erica O'Shea, I must say, perfection. Blaheen Bogue at F6 as well.
Yeah,
couldn't go much better than that. I think you really did, as you said, nail your starting side. The only one that was obviously a little bit different was Gabby Newton. If I remember correctly, you kind of jumped off that one straight away, converting her, putting Zippy Fish, I think, on field, and bringing in Lucia Painter, and then very helpfully, Chloe Malloy. So you fixed up Montana Ham, but Chloe Malloy was the pick that probably really got you there. 113 in that round 2 game against Gold Coast. You must have been, on one hand, absolutely loving your trades, and also, two, probably breathing a sigh of relief that you hadn't missed out on bringing in Montana Ham and correcting that mistake immediately.
Yeah, because if that doesn't happen that week, then that's that season over pretty much. So yeah, that Gold Coast matchup, we saw what in the preseason Prasparkas get about 150 against them, and I know in previous seasons she is one that she can get the possessions. She's generally not known as much for her season stealing scores. She can definitely get them, but normally she's more about a 100 to maybe 105 type player. So to see her beat up, and I think every single one of the Geelong mids absolutely went to town. I was like, yeah, I'm bringing in all of the Sydney players. And it worked out. Luckily, that game was a joy to watch.
That was after Lucia Painter had made Gold Coast. Well, she'd made herself look like a 50th player the week prior.
Yeah.
And Ella Roberts was 100 points, it felt like, at quarter time. And I don't know about you, but I felt like I had a very bad rank to start as well. I felt like my season was falling apart before it had even begun by the time that Gold Coast, West Coast game had finished. I just wanted to jump ahead a few weeks. You'd had a few unique players in your team, including Caitlin Gould and also Elizabeth Georgia-Stathis. In round 4, you traded them both out. And you did that a week before both of them then went sub 50. Would they be classed as were they your best trades, given what you managed to avoid as a result? You probably traded them out at peak price. And in a week where they probably wouldn't have been popular trade-outs too.
Yeah. I think a lot of coaches are very scared to trade out players that are doing well. Like, I think our big gun midfielders that can get us captain scores, I wasn't happy touching, but I was happy trading out your players like Georgia Stats. I think she was 930K. I was looking at her pricing, and I think I wanted Shelley Heath. I really wanted Shelley Heath that week, and I didn't know who to get rid of, and I thought, I can't see her going much more expensive, so we'll get her. So that was a bit lucky. Then Caitlin Gould, I can't remember who I traded her out to. I think it was something similar. She'd just gotten in at 85 or something like that. She was starting to get priced a bit up there. So, yeah, something similar.
I think, so that was the week you brought in Zali Goldsworthy. So you'd had Woodland in, and you'd had Malloy and Ash. You'd had, Too Good, Malloy and Ham in the forwards previously. The kind of next, I think that's a perfectly good point to make, and it's something that I probably embraced a little bit as well this year, was I traded out Cambridge McCormick, I traded out Serene Watson for a few weeks, because you've got to be willing to trade out some of these more expensive players to kind of get where you're going. In terms of your number one trade in, I want to talk about what you did in round 8. So you'd been running a fairly lean midfield. Round 7, you traded in Jazz Garner out for, and you traded out Georgia Prasparkas. Now, that was the week that Jazz Garner had her lowest score in 3 years, not uninjured, with a 69 against the Bombers. So you couldn't even enjoy it properly because the Bombers lost. The week after that, you made the bold trade of trading in 2 premium mid.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. As far as it being my best trade in, I know I had the Hanks and a Conti loop, so like 158 on a player that no one else had when they had Bowers, who had a down week, who got like I think 101 or something. Yeah, can't ask for much more than that. I don't think I've enjoyed watching a footy game more than watching Mon Conti do whatever she wanted, and watching Adelaide not care at all while their team got beaten in the process.
I was watching that game live. I was at Icon Park, actually in the media box, which is something I hadn't done many times. And you say that Adelaide didn't care. They mostly didn't care because it was Sarah Goodwin who was Mon-Con's direct opponent. It didn't work. And that very much sold me on the fact that I don't know if Sarah Goodwin is going to be spending all her time in the midfield, which turned out to be true for the next 3.5 weeks. Or at least didn't have as good a role. But she did get a stern talking to about halfway through the third quarter. A runner came out after she'd made the fascinating choice to have Mon Conti sitting free off the back of a CBA, and then Sarah Goodwin was free off the other side of the back of the CBA, and it resulted in an immediate clearance for Mon Con. That's an incredible pick. I envied
Mm.
it so substantially. Made only better by the fact that it was like, oh well, who's going to have Monconti? Like who's
Yeah.
got Monconti in their midfield at this stage? I haven't got a draft matchup to worry about, but apparently it was you because that was the week you did jump up. You had round rank of 1, and you did jump up
Mm.
overall to 4th. Now, in terms of worst trade-ins, do you have a pick in mind?
I probably have two. One, I slightly blame myself for. The other, I'm blaming whatever's happening at Collingwood. So one of them was Imogen Barnett. I brought her in the week that they decided at halftime to switch up her role. So first half, she had the ruck role, was in the middle. It was great, 35 points. And then they decided to chuck her at full forward, and I think she had a 5 point second half or something like that. So I was absolutely kicking myself at that.
That was
But
what was it? That was about 3 weeks ago. That was
yep,
that would have been rough to watch.
yep. And the other one there was probably, look, I don't blame myself too much for it. It was probably bringing in Maeve Chaplin. Goes against everything, paying almost 1.2 million for her. Looking back, it was more to match the teams around me, I think, because I think I had the option of going her, and instead of going her, going Emma Carney, which would have worked. But then I look, if I'd ended up doing that trade, I would have kept Monconti on the field that week, and she would have gotten yeah, I think she would have gotten a 60 or something. So, you know,
So
looking
you
on the
you
back end, I'd much rather take
you
the
really did
Bowers.
save yourself a lot of money knowing the other decisions that you were going to make.
Yeah.
It definitely makes sense on Maeve Chaplin. She did have at least a couple of decent scores in the final month, but probably wasn't the boon pick that you and a lot of other coaches were expecting. No less Jono, who sadly had to suffer through.
Yeah.
And I must ask now, was the toughest game to watch this past weekend when you were going up first, the Melbourne Geelong game on Saturday night with Maeve Chaplin scoring 35, outscored by Katie Tipping, I believe. Everyone's
Yeah,
bench
no need to
cover in
rub
the
it in.
ruck.
No need to rub it in.
I didn't have for those listening. I didn't have Maeve Chaplin, so it was a very enjoyable, entertaining experience.
Oh yeah, it was a watch. Well, it was interesting because I know the player at the time, or the coach, I should say, that was in second also had her, and I had as my differentiator Shelley Heath. So it was a very mixed reaction. It was
Mm,
like, okay, I think I'm clear from the player in second, but because Chaplin's gotten the 34, now everyone else is catching up and closing the gap. So it was a very mixed feelings game. Yeah.
yes, I can imagine that was the case. Now you'd already talked about trading in Charlie Mullins. Tani Evans, though, round 11, up against Carlton. What was the thinking there? It paid off immaculately, 89.
Mm.
You immediately jumped off Imogen Barnett, but
Mm.
that was certainly a name that certainly came from the clouds.
Mm. I didn't think so much of it was on the clouds. I knew it was her 50th game, and I thought everyone would be trying to get the ball to her. Look, their season was done. Their likelihood of beating Carlton, we didn't think was really there. So I thought that they'd be just trying to find her at all opportunities just to, for the milestone. That was my thought behind it. But apparently
Well,
no one else thought that. So,
no, and I think it's paid off well. I think Tani Evans is also someone that can drop a 30. Because if it's Georgia, it might be Georgia Garnett's day.
yeah.
So you picked it on a Tani Evans performance, and credit to you. I certainly wasn't looking at it at the time, although that was the trade that you used to fix up Imogen Barnett. So absolutely the type of player to be looking at in terms of if you had to talk about your favourite starting squad pick, who would it be?
Oh, um, I feel like it's a bit boring, but Neve McLaughlin probably. She's just a joy to watch. Just absolute gun. Whenever she's around the football, she finds a way to get it. Apart from that one game when she got the 28, but I can't really hold that against her because they Yeah, anyway, I'll move on from that. Chucking her
It's
at full
I
forward
think
for no reason.
I think the entire fantasy community would love for that game to have never existed before. Would have saved us all two trades.
Yes.
Uh, I personally am very happy because Neve McLaughlin. We talk about Georgie Prasparkas putting herself smack bang in all of our teams for that game against the Suns in the preseason. Neve, it turned out to be he was absolutely clearly the best player at Gold Coast this past season. So absolutely lovely to hear it. Now that's your kind of season in review. Your favorite picks, your favorite trades. You're going to talk about kind of some of your strategy. We've already talked a little bit about what you did with Ebony Marinoff. Is there one strategic takeaway that you've kind of had from this season, or maybe even a couple, if there's one from earlier in the season and then also what you were doing towards the back end, where I think every week after about round 7, you were inside the top 10. So if there was anything you did slightly differently to kind of try and move your way up from there, what was it that you took away from this season?
Yes, I'd say it's definitely focusing on value. I know it's been preached on probably for years and years and years, but it's been preached on because it works at the end of the day, right? And roll is the other thing. If the roll is there, the points will come. If the roll's not there, then you're pretty much not throwing a dart at the dartboard, right? You can get pretty much anything. So if you have a combo of both of those with someone with value and roll, then yeah, that's you get enough of those and you'll win a Hilux, apparently.
That is some remarkably simple advice. It is also what we are endeavouring to aim for on at least on the free kick pod. That is what we're trying to bring with every selection that we suggest. Obviously, picking role and consistency of role is its own unique beast, but given where you've ended up, it is a pretty remarkable end to the year. You've obviously got a Hilux in the mail or the Gmail or the email, however best we can
Yeah.
describe what's. Congratulations on an incredible. It's truly to be commended. We're going to have to borrow you though for some advice for next season, putting players in your black book because we're always thinking about the next best thing. Who's someone who's already in your side, kind of in your brain for next year?
Oh, well, yeah. Funny, I haven't thought about next season at all.
Surely there's someone you sat there watching going, I wish they were at a different position, or oh, they're too cheap for now, they're too risky for now. But if I had less to care about, I'd be caring.
Yeah, well, someone interesting that I will say, it depends on role, of course, and I actually had them this season in my midfield, was Oe Sheeran, who, after the move from Richmond to North Melbourne, if she gets that role, I actually brought her in for that 1 week when Jazz Garner was out. If she gets that role, and there's any type of injury to any of those big three mids, watch out. I think she could be a
Hopefully,
huge pick.
hopefully with defender status too.
Yeah. Oh, that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, the obvious one is probably Zippy Fish, right? In defence. Look, she's probably going to be expensive, but she's another player that's just an absolute joy to watch. I remember after round 1, watching her, and I go, nah, there is no chance that she is not coming on my field on round 2. So to have her in the back line will be, whew, yeah.
Yeah, she will be expensive. She will probably be the second most expensive defender next season. She just fell below TLR. But there's going to be a lot of very expensive defenders. Team structures are going to be quite different. Probably not the same value in the midfield. Two excellent options, though. Well, Caleb, that's where we're going to end it for this evening. But thanks again, mate. You've had an incredible year. Thanks for letting me grill you, letting me do a bit of a play-by-play on your season. Apologies if it came across a little bit too much, but, it's always fascinating to dissect where a season goes because we spend all of our time obsessing over our own teams and all the players that we've got. But there's probably not many other people that have a full blow-by-blow recount of every move that you make during the year. So it was certainly entertaining to do it with someone else's team. Hopefully, we'll see you up high in the ranks. And is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners for next season, or is it just sign off now and drive off into the sunset?
Yeah, what I'll say is don't count yourself out, especially early. And I've never been someone who's made the top 100 leading into this. I think I've played Supercoach a couple of times, finished in the top few hundred, finished 2000 in fantasy. And I started the season outside the 6,000. So just keep chipping away, make your good trades, make the trades that make sense. And it's okay if if it's a little bit different to what everyone else is doing, if it adds up and you've got the logic behind it.
That is some beautiful advice. Thank you, Caleb. We will surely talk to you at some point next year. Thanks, mate.
Awesome. Cheers, Liam.
All right. Next up, I think this is going to be a fun game, which hopefully won't take too long because this is turning into a bit of a bumper episode. Liam, you've recently released your All-Australian article on our Substack. What I thought we could do is have a look at the Fantasy All-Australian team. If we were to start every player at their highest score for the season, what would that team look like and what would those scores have been? I'm going to give a shout out just quickly here to Jake from Hat Chat, who's come up with this absolutely wonderful game. We're going to play it for the women's. The way that it's going to work is I have got in front of me, I have got the best 16 scores from across the season plus the 5 on the bench. What I'm going to need from you guys is to guess a player in that team for 1 point. And if you can give me the position that they would be on field. So, for example, in 2024, not this season, but the previous season, you could say Ebony Marinoff at M1. And then if you give me for an additional point, if you can tell me what that score was. So, previous season being Ebony Marinoff's 191 against Fremantle. So, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we're going to cover a few scores from the season. I'm imagining that we're going to go in order here. So we're going to start with Will. Will, can you give me a player that you think makes this Sweet 16 fantasy side?
Also, we're no Googling, right?
No Googling. Hands off your phones.
No data.
No data allowed.
I'm going to say, I think it's M2, Laura Gardner 173.
Laura Gardner is in the Sweet 16. Her 173 was actually the highest score of the season. So that is going to give you just the 2 points for that one. And I will say that there are a couple results here which are tied, in which case I have given preference to those that scored it first. Just as a heads up in case that helps anyone. But sense. Will, 2 points for you, starting with Laura Gardner. Mel, you're up next. Who have you got?
Well, I'm going to go Noffy, M2, 164.
Ooh, so close. Ebony Marinoff had a 165 against Hawthorn in round 5. But she was the second person to score that score, as a little bit of a tidbit there. So she is M3. That's just going to be the 1 point for you there, Mel. Liam.
Zali Goldsworthy, F1, 145.
That is a 3-point play. Zali Goldsworthy is 145. Do you want to tell us, can you remember who it was against? I'll be seriously impressed
Sydney.
if you can do that. Oh,
Sydney.
He's all over it. That is a Sydney game indeed. Will, we're back to you.
I am going to go with... Tilly Lucas Rod. I'm going to say it's about a D4 or 5, and I think it was like 108, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the full 3 for that one. Tilly Lucas Rod, D4 with 108. Absolutely fantastic guess there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the Defenders was quite an interesting one because there wasn't many hundreds in the back line.
Yeah.
Which is why I remember
I think
that.
that's going to be the
noteworthy.
toughest line to do here. Mel, you're up next. Mel's.
And that was D4.
That was D4 or 108. Yep.
I'm going to go... Oh, God. I'm going to suck. Maeve Chaplin, D3, 110.
Maeve Chaplin is in fact D1 with a 120 against the Gold Coast in round 7, which does give us a top score there. There's no defender who scored higher than 120, which I think is pretty interesting. Liam, we're moving on to you. Who have you got next?
F2, Montana Ham, 133.
I had a feeling this game would be absolutely built for you, Liam. That is another 3-pointer, crushing it with that round 2 score against the Gold Coast.
You mean the person with an encyclopedic memory remembers stats, positions, and games that people got great scores? Oh, I'm surprised.
But look, we're going to plot ahead and hope that maybe one of you can knock off Will or at least make this close. Will, you're up next.
I think I've got M2 because I remember looking at this score during my captaincy looks. Is it Ash Riddell 165?
It is indeed Ash Riddell with a 165 all the way back in round 2 against Port Adelaide. So just knocking off early there.
Mel getting the Marinoff one really helped me on that one because I wouldn't have known which position it was in, but I got
very,
that
very helpful. Well, Mel, let's see if you can help Will with another one accidentally. Who have you got for your next guess?
I want to go Mimstrom R1, but I don't know what it would have been. So this is a bit of a guess. I'm going to go 125.
Okay, interesting. You were very close on her higher score. It was a 123, but it actually doesn't make the top 2 ruck scores of the year, despite being the top averaging ruck. So quite an interesting one there. You know that the best ruck scores have to be better than 120 going forward, but that is 0 points for Mel. Liam, you're up next.
I'm writing these down because I've already forgotten which positions we've covered.
On the basis that TLR was D4 with a 108, I was looking back at this because I traded her in for this. It was Serene Watson with a 107, so D5.
So you're really unlucky here because 107 was Serene Watson's highest score, but she was the second defender to score 107 for the season, so D6. It's only going to be the 2 points there, which actually ties you and Will up at this stage. But yes, D6, 107, that is the floor of defenders. It's a really tight band between 120 and 107 there. Will.
Is the R1 Matilda Schultz 127?
Close. It was Matilda Schultz. She's R1, but it was a 137 against the Gold Coast. That was her 4-goal effort. That was massive early on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew it was Matilda Schultz. I just couldn't quite remember the score. As someone who never had Matilda Schultz through the year, so I wouldn't know what she actually scored.
We're moving on to you.
Get anywhere near a good
Mel?
ruck.
I'm going to go D3, Neve McLaughlin, 115.
Interesting guess. So Neve McLaughlin's highest score of the year was 102, despite breaking 100 points 3 separate occasions. So one of only 2 defenders, I think, to have done multiple 100 scores, her and Maeve Chaplin, and one other player who I shall not mention just yet. Liam.
I realise now I probably should have got this, but Cambridge McCormick 107.
That's the one. That's the one. Yep.
That was actually
against that game against Adelaide.
That was going to be my next one because I knew it was Cambridge McCormick. Well done.
Yeah, very handy score there. And the one that I traded her out for did not get that score in my team.
Oh, yeah,
just
I
to
remember that.
throw that
was
into
funny.
the season. Will, we're back to you.
I'm going to say, I don't remember the score specifically, but I'm going to say Chloe Malloy F3 with a 126.
Very, very close. It was Chloe Malloy F3, but with a 118 in round 2 against the Gold Coast.
Yes, it was this.
Yeah, very, very handy one there. So that's going to bump you up another 2 points. Mel?
While Mel's thinking, can we get an update on who we have currently got locked in?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got D1, Maeve Chaplin, D4, 5, and 6 with Tilly Lucas-Rod, Cambridge McCormick, and Serene Watson. M1, 2, and 3 are locked away with Laura Gardner, Ash Riddell, and Ebony Marinoff. Otherwise, the midfielders are untouched. Our R1, Matilda Schultz, locked away. Our R2, still unknown, but we know it's not Mim Strom. In our forward line, our top 3 with Zali Goldsworthy, Montana Ham, and Chloe Malloy locked away, but otherwise the bottom 3 are left untouched as well.
I'm going to go for Jazz Garner 140.
Very close. Jazz Garner makes M5 with her 158 in round 2 versus Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
She did have that 140 in round 11, so not too round 10, sorry. So not too far off the pace for her second best score of the year. We're back to Liam.
This one, I know the score. I'm not certain on the rank. It's Charlie Mullins 115.
No!
F4.
Ah!
That is indeed it. I was wondering who was going to be stealing that one.
Ah! As soon as Jono said that the Chloe Malloy one was 118, I was like, Charlie Mullins scored 115 last week. It's got to be Charlie Mullins
to be next. Yeah, no, absolutely. That one locked away there. Back to you.
I'm going to go with M4, Kiara Bowers. I know Kiara Bowers scored a 160 at one point. I think it was 160. It's got to be less than 165. 164?
Well, you have walked your way into an absolute miracle there. That is indeed M4, Kiara Bowers, 164 versus the Bombers in round 6. Well done on that.
Yes.
Mel, we've now got the top 5 mids all knocked out. There's still an M6 if you know who it is, but otherwise, the top 5 mids could not be beat for points this season.
I'm thinking about Ruck 2, and I'm wondering if it's Lucy Wales, but I don't think so because I don't think she had pop scores, which is making me think it might be like a Morfitt who's had a pop earlier in the season. So I'm going to go with
Wales.
Who whispered that? I'm not sure if that's helpful or hindrance.
It's helpful.
I'm going to go with Lucy Wales for 130.
So close. So R2 is indeed Lucy Wales. It was a 131 against Geelong in round 7.
The reason I actually remembered this one, because the reason I know this is because for a brief period of time, it was Steph Wales when she scored 122, who was then beaten by Lucy. And because I had Steph Wales for that 122.
So now that the ruck scores are done, I can tell you that Mimstrom is 123, Steph Wales 122, Ali Morfitt's 121. We're all incredibly close. But alas, it could not make the cut. Liam.
D2, I'm going to say Sarah Goodwin 119.
Oh, it was Sarah Goodwin 117 against the Gold Coast. Yeah, just pipping her 116 in the final round. Which coming into, only a couple players left to go, really. We've got Liam on 16, Will on 15. So this is a very, very close one. I'm not going to worry about Mel's score. A solitary 5
Mel's
points
too
back
far
there.
ahead. Mel's
Bring
too
it up
far
the
ahead.
rear.
I'm here for a good time.
We're back to...
Can I get an update on what positions are...
So we've actually got some challenging ones left. We are missing D3. We are missing M6. We are missing F5 and F6. And I will also accept anyone who guesses the utility, which is the highest score that doesn't make this list. So those are the ones remaining.
I am going to go out on a limb here and say M5 or 6 Monconti.
Well, M5 is taken, so I'll give you M6 for this one. Monconti, what score?
It was a 150.
Well,
157.
156 in the end for Monconti in round 8 against the Crows.
That was my next guess too.
Yeah, I remembered that big one.
Yeah, so you got the 2 points for that
massive
one, bringing you into the lead. Mel?
I'm thinking on F5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that I don't know. But
Yep.
Honesty is the best policy here.
I'm going to guess that it's someone I didn't have.
I'm relatively confident that you never had 3 of the 4 remaining players in your side.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, she was a mid. Can I have a state, please?
Can I have a letter? Can I have a vowel?
No.
I'm not going to give the state.
It's really between these two.
All right, Liam, you're up.
Pass.
I'm going to take a stab at F5 and Courtney Hodder. I'm trying to remember where between like 110 and 115 it was. Going to say 112.
Wow, incredible guess. Courtney Hodder, 112. Unfortunately, F6, so just the 2 points there. But
wow, well,
very, very well done, which does mean that there was a player that scored between 115 and 112 in the forward line. And I got to tell you,
Jono, don't give away it for people who haven't been taking notes.
I haven't been taking notes.
Will, we're back to you. You've got D3 and F5 to go. And I'm going to tell you, these are the hard ones I did not think you'd get. I think I'm going to give you all one more guess because I think this is going to be a challenge.
I think the problem here is I have a memory in my head of who the defender is because I know it's someone really random. I just cannot for the life of me pick who it was. This is a toughie.
I'm going to actually open the floor here. If anyone knows who it is, guess at any time.
If you want to call in and give your answer to those listening at home. Rachel Kearns.
It is not Rachel Kearns. Somehow did not score it.
And they've not been in our side.
One of them has been in your side, Mel, I'm pretty sure. I don't believe in anyone else's sides. But I'm not a...
I did look up the forwards, but I have yet to think about defenders.
Yeah.
Is the utility Georgia Nanscorn, perchance?
It's incredibly close. I'm going to give the utility since no one's going to get that. It's Charlie Rowbottom.
No, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie Rowbottom. No, I was going to say that.
That was going to be my next guess because
You
Rowbottom
had a long time to guess
147.
that. That doesn't count.
No, I didn't have... No, I thought we were doing the other two positions. Charlie Rowbottom had her massive, 156.
It was a 147 in that high-scoring game against the Crows.
I just said 147.
Yeah, look.
Oh, I knew that one. It was between that and
You
Nanscorn.
did mention it earlier in the episode, so clearly known, but alas, no points for that one. Liam, you still hold the lead. If no one can get it in the next 10, 15
I'd
seconds,
like to guess
I'll call
D3.
it. Yes, Mel?
Harriet Cordner.
No, incredibly close, though. She scored a 98
110.
twice. Yeah, there are a few players we haven't mentioned in the backline. I think I'm going to call it here, and Liam, you are going to take the win. There are a few players in the backline that scored over 100. We had Shelley Heath, we had Chelsea Randall, but the only one who scored 115 was Mira Gervin in that same round 6 game against the Crows.
Yes.
I remember that. Yes. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
in
a
the
good
forward
one.
line, there are actually so many players to score over 100. It could have been any of Jessie Wardlaw with her 107, Taylor Levy with that random out of nowhere 105, Imogen Barnett, Ash Maloney, Jackie Parry, Daniel Ponter, Eden Zanker, Tess Craven. But unfortunately, the one who did it was Taylor Harris with a 114 in round 2 against St Kilda. This is our All-Australian Sweet 16 team. If you had this on field, only counting, the 1 to 5, not including our bench scores, but you had Charlie Rowbottom in utility, you would have scored a 2,154 points for a single round. So some absolutely ridiculous, and that's before captaincy. So not too bad there. Not too bad there. But that'll do it for the game. I thought it was a bit of a fun way to go through what this season has looked like from a fantasy perspective.